Alright, hello everyone, welcome to this video. Today we're going to be finishing up going over the ACT math section. So specifically we're going to go over a few practice problems and then I'll go over some tips that you guys should know to be successful in this section. Hopefully by this point you guys have watched all the content videos for the ACT math section. I apologize if they're like really long, but there's a lot of topics to cover in ACT math and I want to truly make sure that you all know every single major topic before you take your exam, since I think it will really help you a lot in this section, especially for tougher problems. So let's go ahead and get started. These are some easy problems to look at right now. I'm not going to specifically work through each question. I'll kind of tell you guys how to go through it. You guys can pause the video and work through these problems. But these ones are pretty easy. So this first one we see is a probability question, and it's talking about a number less than 9. So this is like our desired outcome, and we do it over all our outcomes, which would be 1 through 15 or 15 on the bottom. So that's how you do this one. This one is combining like terms for a polynomial. Remember how to combine like terms. You're combining terms with the same power with each other. Here we have a function problem. You just plug in 2 for x, and then you would solve out to find the answer. This is an absolute value problem, number 4. Remember, absolute value, whatever's inside the absolute value needs to be turned positive before you do this outer subtraction. Here we have a FOIL question for number 5. Remember, for FOIL, you're doing first, inner, outer, last. So you're multiplying each of these terms by each other in the FOIL method. Number 6, it's more so of like statistics. Like you have 180 students total, 1/4 is A, 1/3 is B, how many got C? So honestly it's more like fractions, and then being able to get a fraction for the C and like multiply it times 180 to get the number of students who earned a C in the course. And then number 7, you have an exponential equation here. They tell you like what each number means, like x equals 0 is 2000, x equals 1 is 2001. So how many is there in 2006? So if x is 0 is 2000, x is 1 is 2001, that means 2006 is going to be x equals 6. So you'd plug in 6 for this equation and then solve it to get the answer for the number of fish that were in Skipper's Pond at that time. So I'll pause for a second. You guys can work through the problems. Again, these are really simple. These should be like really quick. Probably in this entire section, you shouldn't spend more than, I want to say 3 or 4 minutes. Like it's pretty simple, pretty intuitive. So I'll pause here for a second. All right, move on to the medium problems. These ones are a little bit more tricky. So like number 24, we're talking about the number of integers divided by 15 and 35 with the least positive integer in the set. That basically means we are dealing with least common multiple, because we're saying it's divisible by both 15 and 35. So remember how to do least common multiple. Easiest way is to multiply these two numbers together and then divide by their greatest common factor to get the answer. 25, we have an angle question where we have angle A given to us, and then we're given that AB is congruent, is congruent or equal to AC. So what is going to be the angle, knowing that this side and this side are equal to each other? When you're thinking about it, this angle and this angle are going to be equal to each other because their sides are equal. So think about that. Knowing that there's 180 degrees in a triangle, you'd be able to find the angle from that. 26, it's talking about a probability problem where you have a certain amount of Earth's part is land, the other is water. So what's the probability it's going to land into water? All right. So for this, you have your desired outcome of water divided by, it should be Earth's surface. This is when you need to pay attention to the question. Earth's surface. You're given the land and water. So you're going to need to add these two together, add these two scientific notations together, which thankfully they have the same base. So you're just adding the real numbers. And then you'll be able to get your total value for your denominator and do like 3.63 times 10 to the 8th over that to get your percentage. 27, mean, median, mode, where you have 7 scores and then an 8th score, like a 90. How does that impact mean, median, and mode? Okay, so just remember how to do mean. It's average divided by the number of scores that are there. Median is what happens in the middle, what's the middle score, and mode is the score that's appearing the most amount of times. 28 is talking about black cubes and white cubes, two colors, they have one edge touching. So total number of white cubes. So this is one where you're going to have to do a lot of counting to get your answer for this one. 29, one side of square ABCD is length of 12, rectangle equal to the area of ABCD, width of 8. So find the area of the square and then set it equal to length times width for the rectangle. Remember the area formulas for those two shapes and you should be able to get your answer. 30, average of the list is 4 numbers is 92. New list has the same first 3 numbers, but the fourth number is now 40. Fourth in the original list is 40. Fourth in the new list is 48. What's the average of the new list of numbers? So in this case, you're going to want to find the sum of the original list, so like 92 times 4. And then you would change, you would like subtract 40 and subtract 48 from the value that you get from the 4 numbers being multiplied together. So the average of the 4 numbers, like the sum of the 4 numbers. You'd subtract 40 for the original list, subtract 48 from the other list, and divide it by 4 for each one, and you'd be able to see the new list. Yeah. Actually, no, apologies, my bad. Ignore what I said. You're given the original list, so once you do the sum, like 92 times 4, you're going to subtract 40, you'll get a value, and then you're going to add 48 to that and divide it by 4. My bad, I was reading the question wrong. So you have the original list is 40 and the new list is 48, and then from that you'll be able to get the new list, the average of it. My bad, guys, sorry. And then the last one, I is 1 mile per hour east, J is 1 mile per hour north, jogging south at 12 miles per hour, which would be the velocity. So south, north, right? If it's south, it's probably going to be the opposite of north, right? So you'd have your answer there. Oops, okay. I'll pause here for a second for you guys to work through it, and then we will move on to the hard problems. So then 55, we have a problem here with i's, okay? So remember how to do i's. Remember that I is square root of negative 1, I squared is negative 1, I cubed is negative I, and I to the 4th is going to be 1. And then any other higher version of that, like if you have a higher power like I to the 5, subtract 4 from your higher power until you get it to either I squared, I cubed, or I to the 4th. And then be able to simplify this. 56, this is a inequality one where you're given a line and a circle. So remember what we did for inequalities. Make sure you're doing it one inequality at a time. Make sure you're figuring out a shaded area for the first inequality, and then when you're doing the second inequality, make sure to look around in that area to figure out the area that would be shaded for both. 57, AC is 1, B plus C over D is undefined, A, B, C, D is equal to D. This is kind of like logic, like you need to kind of think about, okay, if D is undefined, that means that D is going to be 0, right? Because you can't divide over 0. So that means this is 0. And since I know that AC is 1, right, A times C is 1 times B equals 0, that means one of these numbers is going to be 0. So B is 0. Okay, I pretty much gave you the answer for that one, but that's how you'd go through for that. 58, equation for a cosine function. Remember that. My tip here is to figure out the period and then use the formula 2 pi over this B value that's inside the parentheses. So 1/3, 3, 1/3, 1/2, 2. So you can figure out your answer here. You can also check by plotting points, like see we have 0, 3. See which one would that work for. Our amplitude here, right? Our amplitude is 3. So which one has a 3 for amplitude here? And then find the period and using 2 pi over B to figure out the answer. 59, you have the kite forming a straight of angle elevation 75 degree angle. You also have one that's 45 degrees. What's the length and feet of the string? So this one you would probably use trigonometry in this case, because you have an angle measure, you have a side, and then you're trying to find this length of the string here. So in this case, what I would do is figure out which one is the longest side. Your longest side of the triangle is going to come from the side that's like the angle that's across from it should be the biggest. So if we have 75 here and 45 here, right? If we add those together, that's 120. So 180 minus 120, this is 60 up here. So since 75 is your biggest angle, this is your hypotenuse, these are your legs. So now you can use either one. Actually, no, I'd use the 45-degree angle one, and then I do tangent. So like tangent 45 equals opposite, what we're trying to find, over adjacent 240. You can solve for the length of the string. And then 60, if you charge 15 for the first copy of the book, that is ordered 12 for an additional copy. What's the copy for the books? So 15 for the first copy, that's like your y-intercept, and 12 for each additional copy, that's like a slope. So y equals, well, it's in terms of y, but it's like slope-intercept form. Slope times y plus your b. You can figure out that from there. So I'll pause here for a second. You guys can pause the video and work through the problems. And here are the answers for the easy, medium, and hard section. All right, so now we're going to go over a couple personal strategies I have to end off the video. Make sure you manage your time well. You have 60 questions in 60 minutes for this section, which is technically the best in terms of pace out of all the sections on the ACT. However, you shouldn't be sticking to just 1 minute per question. It shouldn't be like 100% on that pace. If you have questions that you can answer really quickly in like 15-30 seconds, please do so, because you're going to leave time for the harder questions later on in the test that are giving you more trouble. Remember, guys, the first like 15 or 20 questions of the test are easy. And then like the middle chunk, maybe the middle 20, 25 are medium. And then the last 15 or so, those are your hard questions on the exam. So do the easy ones quick. Go through the mediums and even the hards, do the ones that you can, and then go back and really think about ones that you're having trouble with. Please read the questions carefully and do not overthink them. That Earth question with the land and the water, it's asking you what is the probability it's going to land in water compared to the entire Earth's surface. They don't explicitly give you that. Do not use the land part as your denominator. You're going to get the question wrong, and that is going to be a trap answer that they want you to pick. Make sure you're reading the questions carefully. Make sure you're understanding. You want to go fast on some of the questions that you can do fast, but not so fast that you're getting the questions wrong. That's when it starts to become a problem. And don't overthink them as well. Make sure to draw pictures and label drawings when needed. If you need to draw out a figure, like for like if you're dealing with like the area of a composite figure, or if you're drawing out like a triangle and you need to figure out angles or whatever it is, make sure to do that. Make sure you label drawings, make sure you draw pictures to help you visualize it out. It will help you a lot. Turn words into algebra when needed. If you see like multiplied, that's times, like miles per hour, miles divided by hour. In addition to adding, make sure you know how to translate words into algebra. And sometimes writing a big word problem into a couple equations is going to help you understand the question a lot more, and you'll be able to get more questions correctly. Make sure to plug in numbers when needed. If you have like a tough equation or something, make sure you can plug in numbers and see if it makes sense. You can plug in answer choices as well. Make sure to do process of elimination. And the biggest key that I have is this. Try to solve problems without needing to look at the answers. What does that mean? That means you should be able to solve problems by just looking at the question, and your answers should match up with one of the answers. And because I'm saying this because if you go really quickly and you're looking at the answers and you are like working through and then you see an answer that is there but it's not correct, you're going to pick it and then it's going to be wrong, and we don't want that to happen. So try to solve the problems without looking at the answers. Make sure that you're going through each step. It's making sense. Make sure that you're not making mistakes, because if you make even one little mistake on a problem, it's going to affect everything below it in terms of like steps to solve a problem. So make sure that you're trying to solve the problems without needing to look at the answers. Try to go through each step and make sure that it's sound reasoning, like what you're doing is mathematically correct, so that way you'll be able to get as many correct answers as possible. It is truly possible to get a really high score in this section, even a perfect score. It's really possible. Make sure to know your content very well, that I covered in all the other videos, and make sure to do lots of practice. That's going to help you the most. So thank you guys so much for watching the ACT Math section. I know it was a lot of videos, but again, it's a lot of content, and I want to make sure that you guys know all your content down, because that's going to help you the most on test day. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to help, if you have any questions or whatnot. And I will see you all in the next video. Take care.